Tonight, Venezuela remains at a stalemate. The Maduro government has his backers who've peacefully taken to the streets, as you've seen in much of our coverage. The anti-Maduro factions have also been allowed to peacefully assemble and take to the streets. That's what's been going on for the last 3 weeks, right? Well, this weekend there are 2 concerts that are planned. One of them supporting Maduro, the other one against Maduro. Both, by the way, taking place at the border with Colombia, a place that's been kind of a hot zone lately. Venezuela watchers are concerned because some of the comments that were made by U.S. National Advisor John Bolton, where he hinted of violence at the gathering and seemed to suggest that the U.S. would use that potentially as a pretext for military intervention. For more on Venezuela, here's RT correspondent Dan Cohen.
February 23rd is fast approaching. That's the date self-proclaimed president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido, said so-called humanitarian aid will enter Venezuela. The focus is on the Tienditas bridge crossing on the border of Colombia and Venezuela. On the Venezuelan side, supporters of the government will hold a concert and rally against what they call an intervention. And on the Colombian side, the United States Agency for International Development, billionaire Richard Branson, and the Venezuelan opposition will hold a live aid concert. Branson has said they're seeking to raise $100 million for humanitarian aid and accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of banning such aid from entering the country. However, Maduro has repeatedly accepted aid from the Red Cross and Venezuela's allies in China and Russia. Just Tuesday, Moscow sent 300 tons of humanitarian aid, including sorely needed medicine. Maduro also said he would send 20,000 boxes of government-supplied aid and medicine to the impoverished residents of Cucuta, Colombia, where USAID's concert is scheduled to take place. The mayor of Cucuta, Cesar Ayala, rejected the aid, saying police and customs will not allow it to cross the border. This morning, Mercy Corps became the second international aid organization to denounce what it calls the politicization of humanitarian aid, saying, quote, "It is regrettable that aid has become a pawn in the political chess match between the governments of the United States and Venezuela. Aid should never be used as political bait." This comes after the International Committee of the Red Cross said what the U.S. is doing on the Colombian border with Venezuela is, quote, "not humanitarian aid." While tensions rise at the crossing, U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton warned the Venezuelan military against condoning or instigating violence. Bolton's warning is peculiar, as if any violence would be attributed to the Venezuelan side, regardless of who might be responsible. On Thursday morning, a U.S. Navy admiral took a different tone, threatening Venezuelan military personnel and calling on them to defect.
Venezuelan military. Este mensaje es para los militares venezolanos. You will ultimately be held accountable for your actions. Ustedes al final van a ser responsables por sus propias acciones. Do the right thing. Hagan las cosas correctamente. Save your people and your country.
For now, preparations continue for these dueling concerts and rallies on both sides of the border separating Colombia and Venezuela. Back to you, Rick.
Wow, I can't believe I just heard a U.S. admiral telling the military of a sovereign country that they have to take down their own president. That's really something. I'm Rick Sanchez.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's 2 sides to this. One side is that Venezuela is, you know, basically turning into a hellhole because of its socialist policies. You know, there's been news stories of people breaking into the zoo and eating animals in the zoo, people eating pets. I think even some cannibalism, like people chopped up and fucking eaten. That's what happens when there's no food. People get crazy. They want to, you know, survival is the core instinct. And, you know, if there's no other way to feed yourself, you're going to get desperate and you're going to do some bad things to make sure you're fed and that you can continue living. Because most people do not want to die. Pretty self-explanatory right there. And so the other side is also that, of course, the U.S. government, U.S. military are, you know, they want to maintain hegemony over this side of the globe, well, basically all over the world. And they see this as an opportunity to overthrow Maduro and put in a puppet that will be friendly with the United States. Not one that will necessarily be nice to their own people, but one that will be friendly to the United States rather than Maduro and Chavez, who were anti-U.S. In my opinion, is that the U.S. government should stay out of it. They're, in a way making Maduro look like a good guy or something, because, of course there's, aid can be used as a political thing. That adds leverage, if the U.S. government gives your country aid, then you kind of owe them now, right? That's kind of like the whole scam behind the IMF and the World Bank. Like you give these countries a loan or you give them stuff and they expect shit in return, basically, right? But yeah, we should just leave them alone to their own devices. Like, we just need to end foreign entanglements. Like, stop messing around with other countries.